Hello, Commanders fans. Today we have some hot news you can't miss. So get ready, because there's a lot of important information coming your way. Before we begin, we'd like to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and stay up to date with all the latest news about our Washington Commanders. Don't forget to leave a like, which really strengthens our community and helps bring this content to the team's most passionate fans. Now, without further ado, let's get straight to today's news. The Commanders' free agent signing has to be their biggest failure. The Washington Commanders' defense has been the subject of much debate this offseason, with some believing Joe Witt Jr.'s unit will be the reason the team doesn't return to the NFC Championship. Surprisingly, the team let Dante Fowler Jr. go as a free agent after leading the team in sacks last year, and brought in New York Jets quarterback Javon Kinlaw on a 3-year, $45 million deal that some are still shaking their heads at, starting all 17 games. For the Jets last season, he only produced 4.5 sacks, which is a career high, but not enough to justify the contract he got for some. And when naming each team's potential bust, Bleacher Report named Kinlaw as Washington's. Simply put, the Washington Commanders likely overpaid for defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw, Bleacher Report writes. The 2020 first-round pick had a good year with the Jets in 2024, finishing with 40 tackles and 4.5 sacks. However, Washington gave him a good salary for a high-level starter. The Commanders were clearly eager to replace Jonathan Allen, who was released shortly before the start of free agency. However, Kinlaw, who had just 5 tackles for loss and 12 quarterback pressures in 2024, is unlikely to live up to his $15 million per year contract. The Jets weren't exactly a stable organization last season, so the move may be good for Kinlaw. But there's no doubt he needs to see an increase in his sack numbers. Just 4.5 won't be enough in 2025, considering the Commanders already had trouble chasing the quarterback with Fowler Jr. And now that he and his double-digit sacks are gone, someone has to step up. It has to be Kinlaw, along with Darren Payne. But Javon was the big addition in free agency. And if the Commanders want to make a deep run in the playoffs, the defensive line has to join the fun. We know what the offense will do. But what about Kinlaw and the defense? We'll have to see that with real NFL footage. Commanders urge to pay or trade Terry McLaurin, and the right decision is obvious. The Washington Commanders haven't come close to resolving wide receiver Terry McLaurin's contract situation, and training camp is fast approaching. A source close to the NFL believes general manager Adam Peters must choose between 2 potentially franchise-changing scenarios. Either pay McLaurin what he wants, or consider trading the second-team All-Pro wide receiver. This is a simple choice for fans. McLaurin is an exceptional player and a supreme leader in the locker room, with a strong presence in the community. It's obvious, but the Commanders are running their football operation like a business for the first time in decades. Commanders urge to pay or trade Terry McLaurin. And the choice is simple. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk said McLaurin's demands are far higher than the Commanders are willing to pay right now during an appearance on the team $980. And if no compromise can be reached, he thought Peters might be wise to extract maximum value from the wideout while he can. I'm surprised they haven't resolved this yet, but it tells me Terry McLaurin must want much more than the Commanders' budget. You have 2 options, pay him or not. And if you're not going to pay him, then trade him to someone who will. But if you're trying to turn last year into a step forward this year, and your guy isn't happy, you need to make him happy or consider moving on. Either make him happy or consider alternatives. Trading McLaurin isn't on anyone's mind. He's a key part of the franchise. Letting him go isn't an option. Peters knows McLaurin's value to the organization. He'll also have a specific price tag in mind for a receiver approaching $30. This will be the former third-round draft pick's last chance to land a lucrative long-term contract, so he has every right to hold firm. The fact that fans aren't overly panicked is a testament to McLaurin's professionalism and the trust they have in Peters. Dan Quinn is keeping the Ohio State receiver engaged during his time away from the team. But if this drags into training camp, it will become a massive distraction. They don't need a shocking 2026 draft. Simulation links the Commanders to the decisive wide receiver. When is it too early to start talking about next year's NFL draft? The answer, from a writer's perspective, is never. It's mid-July. Free agency has practically stopped, and off-season workouts, even training camp, are over. Let's be honest, there's not much going on in the NFL world, so it's best to look to the future. The Washington Commanders will have high expectations in 2025 after their surprising run to the NFC title, which means they'll ideally select players near the end of the first round of the 2026 NFL draft. One name has already emerged as an early option. Bleacher Report mocks Arizona State WR Jordan Tyson to the Commanders in issue 27 this week. The Bleacher Report's Brent Sebleski put together a mock draft and also analyzed some of the top high school prospects who could make waves in college football. This is a slightly different concept than most standard mocks, as it frames the draft as if it were an MLB or NHL format, where teams are encouraged to make long-term picks on players who aren't necessarily ready for professional play, or in this case, eligible for professional play. However, the Commanders' projected pick with the 27th overall pick is a player who will be eligible for the 2026 NFL draft and is expected to be one of the best players at his position in the class. That would be Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson, described by Sebleski as a natural separator with the ability to create plays after the catch. The wide receiver position isn't an immediate need for the Commanders at this point, but it could be by the end of the 2025 season. Depending on how Terry McLaurin's contract waiver plays out, there's a chance he won't be in Washington until 2026. Deebo Samuel's senior SB-out contract is also expiring, so he'll need to bounce back from a disappointing 2024 season to be retained. Both players are also 29 years old and will be approaching 30 next spring. This highlights the need for a long-term weapon who can grow alongside phenom quarterback Jaden Daniels. There's still a full college football season to determine who the best options are at that position, but if Tyson can build on a campaign in which he caught 75 passes for 1,101 yards and 10 touchdowns, he'll be in the running.